In recent days, something curious has begun to spread behind the scenes at Newcastle United, much like those quiet signs that appear before a major turning point. It wasn't a public statement, nor an official announcement from the club, but rather that unsettling feeling that an important development was about to unfold. Subtle conversations, attentive glances and offhand remarks created an atmosphere of mystery that left many supporters trying to guess what might be approaching on the horizon. It felt as though a story was slowly taking shape, waiting for just the right moment to reveal its full magnitude. As this atmosphere intensified, many people wanted to understand where this unexpected buzz was coming from, and before the revelation arrived, it was impossible not to notice how observant Newcastle supporters are, always picking up on nuances that most would overlook. By the way, if you follow the club as closely as we do here on the channel, make sure to subscribe and stay on top of everything. It really helps our work and guarantees you won't miss any updates during these surprising moments. What made this moment even more intriguing was the gradual way rumors began to emerge. Small clues were piling up, as though something was about to redefine an important part of the squad. But as strong as those signs were, the confirmation everyone was waiting for had yet to arrive. Up to this point, everything seemed to point towards a significant movement, and one specific name began being whispered among analysts, commentators, and even people close to the squad. However, it was still too early to draw any conclusions, and holding back that curiosity only increased the impact of the revelation that was on its way. If you're enjoying this build-up and want to keep following this type of exclusive content, consider subscribing. It allows us to keep delivering detailed information for you. According to information released by Football Insider, centre-back Fabian Schar, one of Newcastle's defensive pillars since 2018, could leave the club as early as the January window. This possibility caught many by surprise because, although his contract expires at the end of the season, the expectation was that he would stay at least until the summer. However, the situation took an unexpected turn that reignited important discussions about his immediate future. Schar, who arrived at the club 6 years ago and established himself as a reliable and technically polished defender, is now going through a period of uncertainty. He is no longer an undisputed starter but still plays a valuable role in Eddie Howe's squad. Even so, sources claim that foreign clubs and some German sides are keeping a close eye on his situation, offering him the possibility of a more prominent role and more minutes on the pitch, something that could tempt him at this stage of his career. It's important to remember that Newcastle had been working on a contract renewal, with significant progress made according to recent reports. The club wanted to keep the defender for longer, especially due to his experience and the security he provides alongside Sven Botman and Malik Theo. However, offers guaranteeing a starting role at other clubs could influence his decision, opening the door for a transfer even before the end of the season. This is a good time to highlight something important if you appreciate in-depth content like this. With detailed analysis of sources and context, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue bringing these exclusive stories with clarity, ensuring no supporter gets lost amid all the speculation. Your support makes all the difference. Returning to the situation, journalist Pete O'Rourke also mentioned on the Inside Track podcast that although Howe would like to keep Schar, the defender's future depends mainly on what he wants. At 33 years old, his natural priority becomes playing time and consistency on the pitch. As Schar lost his place after an injury and watched Theo secure a strong role alongside Botman, the search for regular minutes may weigh heavily in his decision. O'Rourke emphasized that there is real interest from foreign clubs, particularly in the Bundesliga, who could offer Schar not only minutes but also a central role in their defensive structure. This possibility creates a dilemma for Newcastle: resist losing an experienced player mid-season, or let go of someone who could leave for free in the summer if he decides to pursue a new challenge. Meanwhile, Newcastle are working behind the scenes to prevent this outcome. Howe sees Schar as an important figure in the squad, not only for what he provides on the pitch but also for his quiet leadership and presence in the dressing room. However, keeping a player who is not entirely convinced about staying can create complications, especially in such a delicate phase of the season, where every decision has a direct impact on the campaign. Looking at the club's current situation, it's clear that any unexpected departure could have a significant impact on their planning. Newcastle have already dealt with injuries, suspensions and inconsistencies, and losing an experienced defender like Schar at this moment would be an additional challenge. That's why news like this, coming from a solid source such as Football Insider, leaves supporters anxious and attentive to the coming weeks. Another point that adds to the suspense is that Schar started the first 4 matches of the season but ended up losing his place afterwards due to an injury that kept him out temporarily. When he returned, he found a defensive system that had already been reorganized and competitors performing at an excellent level, especially Malik Theo, who has been standing out alongside Botman. This naturally reduced Schar's chances of reclaiming an undisputed place. Even so, his departure is still not an internal consensus. Howe prefers to keep him at least until the end of the season, especially considering the risk of losing defensive depth in such a demanding calendar. However, if Schar truly pushes for a transfer and a reasonable offer arrives, Newcastle may be forced to make a difficult decision, even if it's not one the coaching staff would prefer. If you've followed the story this far, you've probably noticed how complex and full of nuances this scenario is. And this is exactly the type of analysis we always bring here on the channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the perfect moment to do so. That way, you won't miss any updates on this case in the coming weeks. The possibility of losing Schar mid-season may not be the most likely scenario, but it shouldn't be ruled out. Rumors like this usually gain strength as the transfer window approaches, and with each new piece of information that emerges, the pressure grows for both the club and the player. Situations like this show how modern football requires quick and strategic decisions, especially when players approach the final stretch of their contracts.